Lisa had always believed that hard work would pay off. For 12 long years, she walked through the doors of City General Hospital with the same hope in her heart. Every morning at 6, she would tie her hair back, put on her scrubs, and prepare to save lives. The cardiac unit was her second home. She knew every corner of those hallways, every sound the machines made, and every face of her patients. Lisa wasn't just a nurse, she was someone who truly cared. When Mr. Johnson couldn't sleep because he missed his late wife, Lisa would sit with him for an extra 20 minutes. When teenage patients felt scared about their heart surgery, she would crack jokes to make them smile. Her colleagues often wondered how she did it. Working double shifts, staying late when someone needed help, coming in on her days off when the unit was short-staffed. Lisa never complained. She loved what she did, and it showed in everything she touched. But loving your job doesn't always mean your job will love you back. The rumors started in March. Whispers in the break room about budget cuts and layoffs. Lisa tried not to worry. After all, she had been there longer than most nurses. Her patient reviews were always perfect. She had never missed a day of work unless she was seriously ill. Surely she was safe. The first sign of trouble came when the hospital stopped hiring new nurses. Then they cut back on overtime hours. Lisa watched as some of her favorite doctors left for other hospitals. The writing was on the wall, but she chose to ignore it. On a Thursday morning in April, Lisa's supervisor called her into the office. The woman looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact as she shuffled papers on her desk. "Lisa, I need to talk to you about something important," she said, her voice unusually quiet. Lisa's heart started beating faster. She had a feeling this wasn't going to be good news. The hospital is going through some changes. We're having to make some difficult decisions about staffing. The words that followed felt like a punch to the stomach. Budget cuts, downsizing, position eliminated. Lisa heard the words, but they didn't seem real. How could they let her go? She had given everything to this place. "I'm sorry, Lisa, I really am. You're an amazing nurse, but we just don't have the budget to keep everyone." Lisa sat there in shock. 12 years of her life gone just like that. All those nights she stayed late to comfort a scared patient. All those times she covered for other nurses when they called in sick. All those double shifts when she was so tired she could barely stand. None of it mattered now. Walking to her locker felt like walking through a dream. Her hands shook as she packed her things into a cardboard box. Her favorite coffee mug, the one her nephew had given her for Christmas. A small plant that had somehow survived on the windowsill. Pictures of patients who had sent her thank you cards over the years. The other nurses watched with sad eyes as she walked down the hallway one last time. Some of them hugged her. Others just looked away because they were afraid they might be next. Lisa's car sat in the parking lot where she had parked it thousands of times before. But this time was different. This time she wouldn't be coming back tomorrow. The drive home was a blur. She kept thinking about what she would tell her mother. How would she explain that the daughter who had worked so hard to become a nurse was now unemployed? At home, Lisa sat on her couch and stared at the box of her belongings. 12 years of her career reduced to a few personal items that fit in a cardboard box. It felt impossible. The bills wouldn't stop coming just because she lost her job. Her rent was due in 2 weeks. Her car payment was coming up. And then there was her mother's medical bills. Lisa had been helping pay for her mom's medications and doctor visits. How would she manage all of that now? That first week was the hardest. Lisa had never been unemployed before. She went from having a purpose every day to having nothing to do. She would wake up at 6 out of habit, then remember she had nowhere to go. She started looking for jobs immediately. Every hospital in the city received her resume. She applied to nursing homes, clinics, and medical offices. But everywhere she looked, there were 10 other nurses applying for the same positions. The rejection emails started coming after a few days. "Thank you for your interest, but we have decided to move forward with other candidates. We were impressed with your experience, but the position has been filled. We will keep your resume on file for future opportunities." Each rejection felt like another door slamming shut. By the third week, Lisa's savings account was getting scary low. She had always been good with money, but helping her mother and living on her own meant she didn't have much saved up. The stress was keeping her awake at night. She tried to stay positive. She would tell herself that something better was coming, that maybe this was just life's way of pushing her toward a new opportunity. But as the days passed, it became harder to believe. Friends from the hospital would call to check on her. They meant well, but their calls often made her feel worse. They would complain about their shifts or difficult patients, and Lisa would give anything to have those problems again. The worst part was feeling useless. For 12 years, Lisa had spent her days helping people, making a difference, saving lives. Now she spent her days sitting at her computer, writing cover letters that no one seemed to read. One particularly bad day, Lisa found herself crying in the grocery store. She was looking at her cart, trying to decide what she could afford and what she needed to put back. The woman who used to help save lives couldn't even afford to buy the food she wanted. That night, she called her mother to check on her. Lisa didn't mention that she was struggling. Her mom had enough to worry about with her own health problems. Instead, Lisa listened to her mother talk about her day and pretended everything was fine. After hanging up, Lisa sat in her quiet apartment and wondered what she was going to do. She had spent her whole adult life taking care of other people. She was good at solving other people's problems. But when it came to her own life falling apart, she felt completely lost. The woman who had once been so confident and capable now questioned everything. Maybe she wasn't as good a nurse as she thought. Maybe she had been fooling herself all these years. Maybe she didn't deserve the job she had loved so much. Little did Lisa know that in just a few days everything would change. A moment would come that would test everything she had learned as a nurse, and that moment would set her on a path she never could have imagined. Sometimes, the worst things that happen to us are just the beginning of the best things that are yet to come. The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday evening. Lisa pulled her jacket tighter as she walked down the sidewalk, her shoes splashing through puddles. Another job interview had ended with the same disappointing result. The clinic manager had been polite but distant, telling her they would call if anything opened up. Lisa knew they wouldn't call. She had been to 7 interviews in the past 2 weeks. Each one felt like a test she kept failing. Today's interview had been particularly rough. The manager kept asking why she had been let go from City General, as if losing her job was somehow her fault. As she walked, Lisa couldn't stop thinking about her bank account. The numbers were getting smaller every day. Her rent was due tomorrow and she barely had enough to cover it. After that, she would have maybe $200 left. $200 to last until she found work. The street was quiet except for the sound of rain hitting the pavement. Most people were smart enough to be inside on a night like this. Lisa wished she could afford to take the bus, but she was saving every penny she could. Lost in her worried thoughts, Lisa almost didn't hear the sound at first. Then it hit her, the screech of tires on wet pavement followed by a horrible crash that made her heart jump. Just ahead of her, a sleek black car had skidded off the road. It had happened so fast. One moment the car was driving normally. The next it was spinning out of control on the slippery street. Now it sat crumpled against a large oak tree, steam rising from under the hood. For a split second, Lisa froze. Then her training kicked in. Without thinking, she dropped her purse and ran toward the wreck. The front of the car was smashed and she could see someone slumped over the steering wheel. The driver wasn't moving. Lisa's hands were shaking as she approached the car, but her mind was clear. This was what she had trained for. This was what she knew how to do. The driver's side door was dented but not completely crushed. Lisa tried the handle. It was stuck. She could smell gasoline, which made her nervous, but she couldn't just leave someone hurt. "Sir, can you hear me?" she called out, tapping on the window. No response. Lisa looked around desperately. The street was empty. No other cars, no people walking by. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. 911, what's your emergency? There's been a car accident on Pine Street near the old library. One person trapped in the vehicle. He's unconscious and I can smell gas. Ambulance and fire department are on the way. Are you trained in first aid? I'm a nurse, Lisa said, the words feeling strange after weeks of unemployment. Stay on the line. Do not attempt to move the victim unless there's immediate danger. Lisa kept the phone pressed to her ear while she examined the situation more carefully. The young man in the car looked to be in his late 20s. There was blood on his forehead and his breathing seemed shallow. She could see his chest rising and falling. Which was a good sign. The driver's window was cracked but intact. Lisa used a rock to carefully break it, trying not to create sharp pieces that might hurt the man further. Glass scattered, but now she could reach him. Sir, my name is Lisa. I'm a nurse and help is coming. Can you hear me? This time the man's eyes fluttered open for just a moment. He tried to speak but only managed a weak groan. Lisa carefully reached through the window to check his pulse. It was weak but steady. She could see a large cut on his forehead that was bleeding. But head wounds always looked worse than they were. What worried her more was his pale skin and the way he was breathing. Stay with me, she said softly. You're going to be okay. What's your name? The man's eyes opened again, and this time he seemed to focus on her face. Alex, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Okay, Alex. I'm Lisa. You've been in an accident, but help is coming. I need you to stay awake for me, okay? Alex tried to nod, but winced in pain. Lisa could see that his left arm was bent at an odd angle, probably broken. She wanted to check for other injuries, but moving him could make things worse. The smell of gasoline was getting stronger, which made Lisa nervous. She looked around for any sign of fire, but didn't see any. Still, she knew they needed to get Alex out of there as soon as possible. Alex, does anything hurt really bad, besides your arm? My chest, he managed to say. Hard to breathe. That worried Lisa. Chest pain after an accident could mean internal injuries. She wished she had her medical equipment, but all she could do was monitor him and keep him conscious. In the distance, she could finally hear sirens. Thank goodness. Hear that, Alex? The ambulance is coming. You're going to be fine. Alex's eyes kept drifting closed, which scared Lisa. She had seen enough trauma patients to know that staying conscious was important. Alex, talk to me. Tell me about yourself. Do you live around here? Work nearby, he said weakly. Was heading home. What kind of work do you do? Computers, Alex said, and Lisa could see him fighting to stay awake. That's interesting. I'm not very good with computers. Maybe you can teach me sometime. She was just trying to keep him talking, but something about the way he almost smiled made her feel like she really meant it. The ambulance finally arrived, followed by a fire truck and a police car. Lisa had never been so happy to see flashing lights. The paramedics jumped out and quickly assessed the situation. Lisa stepped back to give them room but stayed close enough to help. I'm a nurse, she told the lead paramedic. He's been conscious on and off. Complained of chest pain and difficulty breathing. Possible broken left arm. Pulse is weak but steady. The paramedic nodded, grateful for the information. Lisa watched as they worked to stabilize Alex and get him out of the car safely. It took almost 20 minutes, but they finally managed to get him onto a stretcher. As they loaded Alex into the ambulance, he looked around until he found Lisa in the crowd of emergency workers. Thank you, he said, his voice stronger now that he was getting oxygen. Lisa nodded, feeling emotional in a way she hadn't expected. Take care of yourself. Alex. The ambulance drove away, sirens wailing. And suddenly the street was quiet again except for the tow truck loading up the wrecked car. A police officer approached Lisa to get her statement about what she had witnessed. As she told him what happened, Lisa realized something. For the first time in weeks, she felt useful again. She had helped someone when they needed it most. Walking home in the rain, Lisa's jacket was soaked and her shoes were ruined from the broken glass and puddles, but she felt different somehow, better than she had felt since losing her job. She had no idea that the young man she had just helped save would soon change her life in ways she couldn't imagine. Sometimes the most important moments happen when we least expect them. 2 weeks had passed since the accident, and Lisa was starting to wonder if she would ever find work. She had just finished another unsuccessful phone interview when someone knocked on her apartment door. Lisa wasn't expecting anyone, and visitors were rare these days. Through the peephole, she saw a young man in a nice suit holding a small bouquet of flowers. He looked familiar, but it took her a moment to place him. When she did, her heart skipped a beat. It was Alex, the man from the car accident. But he looked completely different now. Gone were the blood and bruises she remembered. His left arm was in a sling, and he had a small bandage on his forehead, but otherwise he looked healthy and well-dressed. Lisa opened the door, surprised and a little confused. Hi, Alex said with a warm smile. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm Alex. You saved my life 2 weeks ago. Of course I remember you, Lisa said, still shocked to see him standing there. How did you find me? I asked the police officer who took your statement. I hope that's okay. I wanted to thank you properly. Lisa noticed how nervous he seemed, which was sweet. She invited him in, apologizing for the mess. Her apartment was small and simple. Nothing fancy, but it was clean and comfortable. You really didn't need to come all this way, Lisa said as she put the flowers in water. I just did what anyone would do. Alex shook his head. No, most people would have kept walking, especially in the rain. You stopped and stayed with me until help came. The doctor said if I had been alone much longer, things could have been really bad. They sat down in her small living room and Lisa offered him coffee. As they talked, she found herself relaxing. Alex was easy to talk to, and he seemed genuinely interested in hearing about her life. So you're a nurse? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Well, I was, Lisa said, her smile fading a little. I lost my job a few weeks before the accident. Budget cuts. Alex's expression changed to one of concern. I'm so sorry. That must be really hard. There was something about the way he said it that made Lisa believe he really understood. Most people would just say, I'm sure you'll find something soon, and change the subject. But Alex seemed to actually care. It has been tough, Lisa admitted. I've been looking everywhere, but there are so many nurses out of work right now. Competition is fierce. What kind of nursing did you do? Lisa's face lit up as she talked about her work in the cardiac unit. Alex listened intently as she described her patients and the procedures she assisted with. For the first time in weeks, Lisa felt like someone was really hearing her. You must miss it, Alex said. I do. I really do. It wasn't just a job, you know? It was my purpose. Alex nodded like he understood exactly what she meant. They talked for over an hour, and Lisa found herself laughing for the first time in weeks. Alex had a great sense of humor and a way of making her feel comfortable. When he finally got up to leave, Alex seemed hesitant. Lisa, I know this might sound forward, but would you like to have dinner sometime? I'd love to take you out as a thank you. Lisa felt her cheeks warm. It had been a long time since anyone had asked her out, and she wasn't sure if this was a date or just gratitude. You don't owe me anything, she said. It's not about owing you. I'd like to get to know you better. There was something sincere in his eyes that made Lisa say yes. They met for dinner 3 days later at a small Italian restaurant downtown. Alex insisted on picking her up, and Lisa was touched by his thoughtfulness. He opened doors for her and pulled out her chair, old-fashioned gestures that made her feel special. Over pasta and wine, they talked about everything. Alex told her about his work with computers, though he was vague about the details. He said he worked for a tech company and did programming and system design. Lisa didn't push for more information. She was just happy to have someone to talk to. Do you like what you do? Lisa asked. Alex paused, considering his answer. It's comfortable, he said finally. But sometimes I wonder if I'm making a real difference, you know? Not like what you do, or did. Everyone makes a difference in their own way, Lisa said. Technology helps people too. Maybe, Alex said, but he didn't sound convinced. Lisa noticed that Alex seemed uncomfortable talking about his work, so she changed the subject. They talked about movies, books, and places they wanted to travel. Lisa was surprised to learn that despite being well-dressed and articulate, Alex seemed to live modestly. He talked about taking the bus to work and cooking at home to save money. It's hard to make ends meet in this city, he said, and Lisa nodded in understanding. After dinner, Alex walked her to her door. Lisa had enjoyed herself more than she had in months. I had a really nice time, she said. Me too. Would you like to do this again? I'd like that. Over the next few weeks, Alex became a regular part of Lisa's life. He would call to check on her job search and offer encouragement when she got discouraged. Sometimes he would show up with groceries, claiming he had bought too much food and didn't want it to go to waste. Lisa appreciated his thoughtfulness, but she was also proud. She didn't want to feel like a charity case, Alex. You don't need to keep bringing me things, she said one day when he arrived with a bag full of groceries. I'm not bringing them for you, he said with a grin. I'm bringing them for us. I was hoping you'd cook dinner with me tonight. It was hard to argue with that logic, and Lisa had to admit she enjoyed their cooking sessions. Alex was surprisingly good in the kitchen, and they worked well together. As they became closer, Lisa found herself looking forward to Alex's visits more and more. He had a way of making her forget about her problems, at least for a while. When she was with him, she didn't feel like an unemployed failure. She felt like herself again. Alex seemed to feel the same way. He told her that talking to her was the best part of his day. He said she made him think about things differently. made him want to do something meaningful with his life. One evening, as they were walking through the park after dinner, Alex stopped suddenly. "Lisa, there's something I need to tell you." Lisa's heart sank. Here it comes, she thought. He's going to tell me he's married or moving away or that this has all been some kind of mistake. "What is it?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Alex looked nervous, more nervous than she had ever seen him. "I haven't been completely honest with you about something." Lisa felt her stomach drop. She had been starting to really care about Alex, and now it seemed like everything was about to fall apart. "What do you mean?" Alex opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again. He looked like he was having an internal battle. "Never mind," he said finally. "It's not important right now." But Lisa could see in his eyes that whatever he wasn't telling her was very important indeed. She just didn't know if she was ready to hear it. The weeks that followed were some of the happiest Lisa had experienced in a long time. Alex had become her closest friend, and if she was being honest with herself, something more. Every day brought a text message or phone call from him, checking on her job search or just wanting to hear her voice. "Any luck today?" Alex would ask after each interview, and Lisa loved that he genuinely cared about the answer. "Not yet, but I'm not giving up," she would tell him. And somehow saying it to Alex made her believe it more. What Lisa didn't know was that Alex had been quietly working behind the scenes. He had connections in the medical field through his family's business dealings, and he was using every contact he had to help find Lisa a position, but he was careful to make it seem like coincidence when opportunities came up. "Hey, I heard from a friend that Mercy Hospital might be hiring," Alex mentioned casually one afternoon as they shared coffee. "Might be worth checking out." Lisa's eyes lit up. "Really? I hadn't heard anything about that." "Yeah, my friend works in their IT department. He mentioned they were expanding their cardiac unit." Alex watched as Lisa immediately pulled out her phone to look up the hospital's website. He loved seeing her excited about the possibility of working again. It reminded him why he had fallen for her in the first place. Her passion for helping people was everything his privileged world had been missing. The truth was, Alex had been struggling with his feelings and his deception for weeks now. Every time Lisa worried about money, every time she counted coins to buy groceries, every time she talked about her mother's medical bills, Alex wanted to tell her everything. He wanted to tell her that money didn't have to be a problem anymore, that he could take care of everything. But he was terrified that if Lisa knew who he really was, everything would change. She would see him differently. She might think he had been playing with her emotions, or worse, that he felt sorry for her. Alex had grown up with people who only cared about his family's wealth. Friends who suddenly appeared when they needed something. Girlfriends who were more interested in his credit card than his personality. With Lisa, he had found something real for the first time in his life. "You know what I love about you?" Alex said one evening as they walked along the river. "What?" Lisa asked, surprised by the serious tone in his voice. "You see people for who they really are, not what they have or what they can do for you, just who they are inside." Lisa stopped walking and looked at him. "Where is this coming from?" Alex shrugged, trying to play it off. "I've just never met anyone like you before." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. The way Alex was looking at her made her stomach flutter in a way she hadn't felt in years. "Alex, Before she could finish her sentence, Alex leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle and sweet, and Lisa felt like the whole world had stopped spinning. When they pulled apart, Alex rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," he admitted. "Me too," Lisa whispered. From that moment, their relationship changed. They were no longer just friends spending time together. They were falling in love. Alex would hold Lisa's hand as they walked, and she would curl up next to him when they watched movies. Everything felt natural and right, but Alex's guilt about lying was eating him alive. Every sweet moment they shared made him feel worse about his deception. He started having imaginary conversations in his head, practicing how he would tell Lisa the truth about his family's money. The opportunity came sooner than he expected. Lisa's mother called one evening while Alex was visiting. Lisa's face went pale as she listened to whatever her mother was telling her. "Mom, slow down. What did the doctor say exactly?" Alex watched as Lisa's expression grew more worried. Okay. Yes, I'll figure something out. Don't worry about the money right now." When Lisa hung up, she looked defeated. "What's wrong?" Alex asked, moving to sit beside her on the couch. My mom needs surgery. Her heart condition is getting worse and they want to do it next month. Lisa's voice was shaking. The insurance will cover most of it. But there's still going to be about $8,000 in costs we have to pay. Alex's heart broke, watching Lisa try to hold back tears. $8,000 might as well be $8 million for me right now, Lisa said. I can't even find a job and now this. Without thinking, Alex opened his mouth to tell her not to worry, that he could help, that $8,000 was nothing to him. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the proud way Lisa held her shoulders even when she was scared, or the way she always insisted on paying for her own coffee when they went out together. Instead, he just held her while she cried. We'll figure something out, he said. Maybe there are payment plans or financial aid programs. Maybe, Lisa said, but she didn't sound hopeful. That night, Alex lay awake thinking about Lisa's situation. He could solve her problem with a single phone call. His weekly allowance was more than enough to cover her mother's surgery. But he knew that if he offered to pay for it, Lisa would ask questions he wasn't ready to answer. So Alex decided to help in a different way. The next morning, he made some calls to people he knew in the medical community, not as Alex Chen, heir to a business empire, but as someone who cared about a woman whose mother needed help. 3 days later, Lisa's phone rang. Is this Lisa Rodriguez? The voice asked. Yes, this is she. This is Dr. Martinez from the Heart Foundation. We received an application for financial assistance for your mother's surgery. Lisa was confused. I'm sorry, but I never applied for anything. Sometimes hospitals submit applications on behalf of patients. The good news is that your mother qualifies for our emergency assistance program. We can cover the full cost of her surgery. Lisa nearly dropped the phone. Are you sure? The full cost? Yes, ma'am. Your mother's case meets all our criteria. We'll send the paperwork to her doctor's office. After Lisa hung up, she immediately called Alex. You're not going to believe this, she said, her voice full of excitement and relief. Alex listened as Lisa told him about the phone call, acting surprised and happy for her. Inside, he felt good about helping but terrible about lying. That's amazing news, he said. I'm so happy for you and your mom. I feel like I can breathe again, Lisa said. Now I just need to focus on finding a job. About that, Alex said, remember that lead at Mercy Hospital? I heard back from my friend. They want to set up an interview. What Alex didn't tell Lisa was that he had personally called the hospital administrator and strongly recommended her for the position. He had been careful not to reveal his identity, presenting himself as someone who had worked with Lisa professionally. A week later, Lisa was sitting in the administrator's office at Mercy Hospital, more nervous than she had been for any interview. Your references are outstanding, the administrator said, looking through Lisa's file. Everyone speaks very highly of your skills and dedication. Thank you, Lisa said, trying to stay calm. We'd like to offer you a position in our cardiac unit. The salary is competitive and we offer excellent benefits. Lisa felt tears of joy forming in her eyes. After months of rejection, someone finally wanted her. That evening, she called Alex with the news. I got it, she said as soon as he answered. I got the job at Mercy Hospital. Alex's heart soared hearing the happiness in her voice. Lisa, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. I start Monday. Alex, I feel like my whole life is turning around. As they celebrated that night over dinner, Alex looked at the woman he loved and made a decision. Lisa deserved to know the truth about who he was. She deserved honesty from the man who loved her, but first he wanted to give her time to enjoy this moment. Soon, he would tell her everything. He just hoped that when he did, she would understand why he had kept his secret for so long. Lisa's first day at Mercy Hospital was everything she had hoped for and more. The cardiac unit was state-of-the-art, with equipment she had only dreamed of working with. Her new colleagues welcomed her warmly, and by the end of her shift she felt like she was exactly where she belonged. How was your first day? Alex asked when he called that evening. Perfect, Lisa said, and she meant it. The team is wonderful and the facilities are incredible. I can't believe how lucky I am. You deserve this, Lisa. You worked hard for it. As the weeks passed, Lisa settled into her new routine. She loved her job even more than her old one. The hospital invested in their staff, offering training opportunities and treating nurses with respect. Lisa felt valued in a way she never had before. What she didn't know was that Mercy Hospital was one of the finest medical facilities in the state, partially funded by the Chen Foundation. Alex had made sure she landed somewhere that would appreciate her talents. 3 months into her new job, Lisa was walking through the main lobby after her shift when something caught her eye. On the wall near the entrance was a large plaque listing the hospital's major donors and board members. At the top of the list, in elegant gold lettering, was the Chen Foundation major benefactor. Lisa stopped and stared at the name. Chen. It was a common enough surname, but something about seeing it there made her stomach flutter with unease. She thought about Alex's last name, which she realized he had never actually told her. He always just said Alex when he introduced himself to people. She had never thought to ask for his full name. It had never seemed important. That evening, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When Alex came over for dinner, she decided to ask him directly. "Alex, what's your last name?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. He paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. "Why do you ask?" "I just realized I don't think you've ever told me. We've been together for months and I don't even know your full name." Alex set down his fork and looked uncomfortable. "It's Chen, Alex Chen." Lisa felt her blood run cold. "Chen? Like the Chen Foundation?" The look on Alex's face told her everything she needed to know. "Lisa, I can explain." "Oh my God." Lisa stood up from the table so quickly her chair nearly fell over. "The Chen Foundation funds my hospital. They're one of the wealthiest families in the city." Alex reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "How long were you planning to lie to me?" "I wasn't lying exactly. You just what? Let me think you were struggling financially like I was? Let me worry about paying for groceries while you're worth millions? Lisa, please listen to me." But Lisa was pacing now, her mind racing as pieces fell into place. The job at Mercy Hospital. My mother's surgery being paid for. That wasn't coincidence, was it? Alex's silence was answer enough. "You arranged all of it." Lisa's voice was getting louder. "You made me think I was finally getting my life together on my own, but it was all you. I wanted to help." "Help?" Lisa spun around to face him. "You made me feel like a charity case. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? That's not what I meant to do." "Then what did you mean to do, Alex? String me along? See how long you could fool the poor unemployed nurse?" "No." Alex stood up, his own voice rising. "I love you, Lisa. Everything I did was because I love you." "Love?" Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You don't lie to people you love. You don't deceive them for months." "I was scared," Alex said desperately. "I was scared that if you knew who I really was, you would only see the money. Everyone always only sees the money, so you decided to make that choice for me. You decided I couldn't handle the truth." Alex ran his hands through his hair, looking more distressed than Lisa had ever seen him. "I know how this looks, but I swear to you, my feelings are real. When I'm with you, I feel like a real person, not just someone's paycheck. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now?" Lisa walked to the door and opened it. "I think you should leave." "Lisa, please don't do this." "Let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You lied to me about who you are. You manipulated my life without telling me. I don't even know you." Alex stood in the doorway looking like his world was falling apart. "Yes, you do know me. The person I am when I'm with you, that's the real me. That's who I want to be. Get out, Alex." After he left, Lisa collapsed on her couch and cried harder than she had since losing her first job. She felt so stupid. All those times Alex had shown up with groceries he claimed were extra. All those convenient job leads and opportunities. None of it had been real. The worst part was that she had started to fall in love with him. The man she thought was Alex, kind, thoughtful, understanding, that person didn't exist. He was just a rich guy playing pretend. For the next 2 weeks, Alex called and texted constantly. Lisa ignored every attempt at communication. She threw herself into her work, staying late and picking up extra shifts to avoid thinking about him. But Alex wasn't giving up. One morning, Lisa arrived at work to find the entire hospital buzzing with excitement. In the lobby, there was a huge banner announcing a new program, the Healthcare Heroes Emergency Fund, supporting medical professionals in crisis. Lisa asked her supervisor what it was about. "It's incredible," her supervisor explained. "Some anonymous donor just gave the hospital $10 million to create an emergency fund for healthcare workers who face financial hardship. Anyone who loses their job, has medical bills, or faces financial crisis can apply for help. Lisa's heart sank. She knew exactly who the anonymous donor was. That evening, Alex was waiting outside her apartment building. "Lisa, please just give me 5 minutes." "Did you think throwing money around would fix this?" "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about, Alex?" "Another way to control my life?" "It's about making sure what happened to you never happens to another nurse or doctor, or anyone who dedicates their life to helping people." Lisa wanted to stay angry, but something in his voice made her pause. "I can't undo what I did," Alex continued. "I can't take back the lies, but I can try to make something good come from this mess. Why should I believe you care about anyone but yourself? Because you taught me to care. Before I met you, I just existed. I went through the motions of my privileged life without thinking about what it meant. You showed me what it means to have purpose." Lisa looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't expected. Alex looked different, older somehow, like he had been through something that changed him. "I quit," he said quietly. "What?" "I quit my job at my family's company. I'm giving up my inheritance. All of it." Lisa stared at him in shock. "I don't want money that I didn't earn. I want to build something with my own hands, my own mind. I want to deserve the life I have. Alex, I'm starting a non-profit. Healthcare technology for underserved communities. I want to use my skills to actually help people like you do." Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes. "I know I don't deserve another chance," Alex said. "But I need you to know that loving you changed me. Even if you never forgive me, you made me a better person." Lisa was quiet for a long moment. "You hurt me," she said finally. "I know. You made me feel like everything good that happened was fake. I know. But," Lisa took a deep breath, "I also know that the man who held me when I cried about my mother, who celebrated with me when I got my job, who made me laugh when I thought I'd never be happy again, that man was real." Alex looked up hopefully. "I need time," Lisa said. "If we're going to try this again, it has to be honest. No more secrets, no more lies." "No more secrets," Alex promised, "and I pay for my own coffee from now on." Alex smiled for the first time in weeks. "Deal." 6 months later, Lisa and Alex were working together at his new nonprofit, bringing medical technology to communities that couldn't afford it. Alex had learned to live on a modest salary, and Lisa had learned to trust again. Sometimes the best love stories are the ones where two people save each other. Alex had given Lisa her career back, but Lisa had given Alex something even more valuable. She had given him a purpose worth living for.